The people of Ethiopia are bracing for an all-out war between government forces and Tigrayan rebels. War would make the humanitarian situation in the Tigray region even worse. And this comes as CNN reports authorities in Ethiopia appear to now be detaining people based on their ethnicity after a 6-month state of emergency was declared last week. This map that we're showing you, Ethiopia neighboring countries in the region, as well as Ethiopia's Tigray region to the north, Tigrayan rebel forces are currently making advances against the Ethiopian military, moving closer to Ethiopia's capital of Addis Ababa. At the same time, a newly formed alliance of Ethiopian opposition factions has now set a goal of bringing down Ethiopia's current Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed by force or by negotiation. Now, the humanitarian crisis in Ethiopia's Tigray region and other parts of northern Ethiopia is getting more dire every day. At least 7 million people are in need of emergency food assistance, 2 million people are displaced, and another 2 million people are facing emergency levels of hunger. And here is how Samantha Power, Administrator of the United States Agency for International Development, addresses the unfolding situation in Ethiopia today.
What we need right now is a ceasefire and political negotiations, as well as the humanitarian access that I have been appealing for and other leaders have been appealing for months and months, for a full year, in fact. But at the same time, you don't see sufficient improvements in humanitarian access by the government or an interest in political negotiations. And as a result, you see two parties pursuing a military solution to a conflict that has no military solution.
What a dire situation there. And joining me now to discuss this is Tigrayan human rights activist Millete Birhanemaskel. Thank you for joining us this hour. The situation on the ground in Tigray, let's begin there. Dire need to feed people who are starving, people who are not starving by their own fault, but by what war is doing there. Can you talk to us about that? Have you heard from people on the ground?
That's right. I mean, for Tigrayans, it's been 370 days of just simply trying to break the siege on Tigray. So we know that no aid is getting through the borders yet. We know that the prime minister has publicly said, has admitted that the so-called de facto blockade is in fact intentional. And in fact said if the Tigray Defense Forces would retreat and go back to Tigray, that he would lift the humanitarian blockade. So we know that things are not improving. We know that people are starving on the ground. And we've heard from various researchers and folks who are in touch with people on the ground through satellite and other means, because as you know, there's no access to the people. There are no phones, no electricity, no running water in the middle of a pandemic. And there's literally no running water in the entire state of Tigray. But we're getting word that people are dying of starvation. Photos are starting to come out of small children who are malnourished. There is a woman who gave birth to a 1-pound baby that obviously didn't survive. So it's a dire situation on the ground in Tigray. And one thing that we've learned, you played a clip from Samantha Powers, and while I'm grateful, and we are as Tigrayans grateful to the international community for speaking up, nothing has changed. The prime minister refuses to lift the blockade. And so the Tigray Defense Forces have had no choice but to march straight to Addis Ababa and demand that the siege be lifted. And that's where we're at now. That's where our hope is.
Millete, take me back to how all this began. What's the root cause of this internal war that's breaking out, that's causing all of this heartbreak and starvation?
That's such a good question, because that's been lost. In the last year, there have been so many atrocities that I think people forget how this started. And so at its core, this was a fight about a strong central government or a weak central government. Abiy Ahmed was elected. Well, he wasn't elected, actually. He was appointed and was supposed to get the people to an election. And at that election, you know, he would receive his mandate in terms of how to run the country. But instead, he decided to unilaterally change the constitution and decide that he was going to centralize power. Well, this didn't sit well with the Tigrayans, who have a history and who fought for the freedom of Ethiopia and for the right to self-determination. And while Abiy Ahmed continued to cancel elections, the people of Tigray held elections. And this angered Abiy Ahmed. And so he used He said that a northern command, a northern base was attacked. And so that was the reason why that he had to go in and then start this war on Tigray. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't pass the sniff test. He said there were 60 some odd individuals from TPLF who needed to be arrested. And he asked the people of Tigray, turn them over to us, and everything will be good. And if not, everyone will pay. And as a result, because he didn't catch the individuals he supposedly wanted to catch, he is doing collective punishment essentially on the people of Tigray. And so that's how we get here. I mean, it's a shameful war. I think we've learned that Abiy Ahmed is the greatest con artist of all time. I'm sure you remember that he won the Nobel Peace Prize, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize while planning war. I mean, you talk about a con artist. He was literally planning war with Isaias Afewerki of Eritrea. And so I think now, that bought him time to create a lot of the atrocities and do the things that he did. It sort of gave him a long leash with the international community. And now people see what's truly happening.
So Millete, real quickly, in the little bit limited time I have left, how do you see an end coming to this so that peace can be brought and finally food being delivered to meet the needs of millions of people who are being starved to death?
It's really disturbing, but this regime only knows force. That is the only language that they speak. And so I don't believe that this will end without him being dethroned, because he does believe that he's king of Ethiopia. And so I don't see any other way that this will end. And something really tragic too, you mentioned the ethnic Tigrayans being arrested and being held in concentration camps all over Addis Ababa. People are disappearing, and we're hearing those reports, and there's nothing we can do about it. As ethnic Tigrayans, we're afraid to call home and even check to see if our family members are safe or if they've been arrested, because if they speak in Tigrinya, then that's a risk for them. So it's a terrible situation, and it goes beyond even the Tigrayan people. The Oromo people are also in a terrible place, and there are videos coming out of forced conscription of young Oromo and Somalian children being recruited.
So much to do, and I know you're passionate about it, and certainly our heart is with you. And please come back on to talk to us about a Tigrayan human rights activist, Millete Birhanemaskel. Thank you for joining us.